We have an important consumer alert tonight. The FDA is warning that another over-the-counter eye product could be contaminated with bacteria.
You blend it into your crease. You pack it onto your lid. Sometimes you press it in wet for more intensity. And you are doing all of this millimeters from your tear ducts. Millimeters from the mucous membranes that absorb directly into your bloodstream. Eyeshadow is the cosmetic product applied closest to the most absorbent tissue on your entire face. And the FDA's own 2025 report confirmed it. Eyeshadow is the single product category with the highest rate of intentional PFAS addition across all cosmetics. Over 20% of eyeshadow products contained forever chemicals. One brand was caught selling PFAS palettes while publicly claiming to phase them out. Another had asbestos confirmed by the FDA. 7 brands, 3 that passed. The worst one is first. Avoid brand 1. Urban Decay Naked Palette, L'Oreal. It is the palette that taught a generation of women how to do a smoky eye. 12 shades of brown, bronze, and shimmer in a sleek gunmetal case. The Naked palette did not just sell well, it changed the category. Urban Decay built its reputation on being the edgy, independent alternative to mainstream beauty. Founded in 1996 by women who wanted something darker and more interesting than what department stores offered, that anti-establishment identity stuck. Women trusted Urban Decay precisely because it did not feel like a corporate brand. Then, L'Oreal acquired it in 2012. And what happened next is the reason it is #1 on this list. A BBC News investigation, using a Freedom of Information request to the UK's Environment Agency, confirmed that Urban Decay was selling eyeshadow products containing PTFE, a PFAS compound, while simultaneously making public statements about phasing forever chemicals out of its formulas. The specific product named was the Urban Decay Smoked Palette. L'Oreal told the BBC the phase-out was well underway and that PFAS had already been removed from the majority of products. The BBC found products containing PTFE still on shelves at the same time that statement was made. The EWG independently confirmed that Urban Decay used PTFE in eyeshadow products listed on their own ingredient decks. Professor Miriam Diamond, environmental chemist at the University of Toronto, told the BBC directly that consumers should be concerned about low-level PFAS contamination in products because of the limited information available on long-term toxic effects. Looks like an indie icon, reads like a corporate PFAS cover story. L'Oreal owns Urban Decay. The same parent company owns Maybelline, Garnier, Revitalift, Lancome, and True Match, all of which have appeared on previous avoid lists in this series. The anti-establishment packaging is real. The parent company behind it is the largest cosmetics conglomerate in the world. For the woman who chose Urban Decay specifically because it felt like the alternative to the corporate brands she did not trust, this is what you actually bought. A product with confirmed PFAS on its ingredient deck, sold by the parent company of the most mainstream beauty portfolio on Earth. Phase out announced. PTFE confirmed on shelves. That is the Urban Decay deal. The next brand had its PFAS use confirmed not by a journalist using a Freedom of Information request, but by the EWG checking the brand's own published ingredient list. Avoid brand 2, Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam Palette. It is the palette that made blending look effortless. 14 shades of rose gold, mauve, and rust in a magnetic case that snaps shut with the kind of satisfying click that makes the price feel justified. The Soft Glam palette became a standard, the one beauty editors reached for, the one that appeared in every tutorial. Anastasia Beverly Hills built credibility the right way. The brand started with brow shaping, became the industry standard for brow architecture, and then expanded into eyeshadow with the same attention to pigment and formula. That reputation for technical precision transferred directly into the eye palette category. Women trusted the formula because the brow products had genuinely earned it. The EWG confirmed it directly. Anastasia Beverly Hills uses PTFE in some eyeshadow products, listed openly on the brand's own ingredient decks. PTFE is polytetrafluoroethylene, the Teflon compound, a PFAS. It is added to eyeshadow for the same reason it is added to non-stick pans. It creates a smooth, gliding texture that makes shadow easier to blend and more resistant to creasing. The performance characteristic you pay for is the chemical concern you were never told about. The Notre Dame University study found that 58% of eye products tested had high fluorine levels indicating probable PFAS presence. Anastasia Beverly Hills was included in the pool of brands analyzed. PFAS at the microscopic particle scale used in pressed powder products means particles small enough to become airborne during brush application. Applied millimeters from the tear duct. Blended with brushes that lift powder into the air you breathe while applying it. Looks like precision pigment. Reads like intentional PFAS on a published ingredient list. Read the ingredient list on your Anastasia Beverly Hills palette right now. Look for polytetrafluoroethylene. It is there on some products because the brand listed it themselves. The EWG did not have to go looking for it. They just read the label. For the woman who invested in this palette, because the pigment payoff and blendability felt worth every dollar of the $42 price tag, this is what you actually bought. PFAS confirmed on the brand's own label, in a product you blend inches from your eyes. Subscribe right now, because the next brand on this list did not just have a PFAS concern, it had asbestos confirmed by the FDA, in a product marketed to children. Avoid Brand 3, Claire's Eyeshadow Palettes. It is in every mall in the country, glittery packaging, bright colors, price points low enough that a 12-year-old can buy one with her own money. Claire's eyeshadow palettes are designed to be the first makeup a young girl ever owns. Claire's built its entire identity around that first. The first piercing, the first lipstick, the first eyeshadow palette. The brand positioned itself as the safe, friendly, affordable entry point into beauty for girls who were just starting out. Parents trusted it because it was everywhere, and because it looked harmless. Because something that's sparkly and inexpensive could not possibly require scrutiny. It required scrutiny. In 2019, the FDA issued a public safety alert after its own independent testing confirmed the presence of tremolite asbestos in Claire's eyeshadow products. Not alleged, not suspected, confirmed by the FDA's own laboratory. Asbestos is a known carcinogen. The American Cancer Society states that asbestos-tainted talc is generally accepted as being able to cause cancer if inhaled. These products were designed for and marketed to children whose developing lungs are significantly more vulnerable to carcinogenic fiber inhalation than adult lungs. Claire's initially disputed the FDA's findings, cited its own internal testing as evidence of safety, and resisted issuing a voluntary recall until the FDA's public advisory forced the issue. The EWG's Senior Vice President for Government Affairs testified before Congress that even small amounts of asbestos in talc can cause mesothelioma and other deadly diseases many years after exposure. Looks like a first makeup kit. Reads like an FDA asbestos confirmation. The FDA proposed a mandatory standardized asbestos testing rule for talcs containing cosmetics in December 2024. That rule was withdrawn in November 2025. There is currently no mandatory federal standard requiring eyeshadow brands to test their talc for asbestos before putting it on shelves next to the school backpacks. For the mother who bought this for her daughter because it was affordable, available everywhere, and looked exactly like the innocent first makeup kit it was marketed as, this is what you actually bought, a product with FDA-confirmed asbestos, marketed to children, in a regulatory environment that currently requires no mandatory testing to prevent it happening again. If you need to buy from Claire's for non-cosmetic items, the accessories and jewelry range carries none of the talc-related contamination risks that apply to their powder-based makeup products. FDA-confirmed asbestos. Marketed to children. No mandatory testing required. That is the Claire's deal. The next brand on this list sits in the same drugstore aisle as the other affordable options. Same PFAS concern, same talc in the formula, and the same L'Oreal parent company as Brand 1. Avoid Brand 4. Maybelline Eye Studio Eyeshadow. It is in the makeup section of every pharmacy, every supermarket, and every budget beauty aisle in the country. The Maybelline Eye Studio Quad. 4 shades coordinated to work together. A brush included. Everything you need for a complete eye look at a price that never requires a second thought. Maybelline built its drugstore dominance on accessibility and reliability. The brand has been in the eye makeup category for decades, offering shade ranges and formula performance that gave women at every income level a product that felt professional. The Eye Studio line in particular was marketed as a coordinated, foolproof system for creating complete eye looks without needing professional skill. That promise was genuine. The formula delivered. Nobody questioned what was inside. Here is what was inside. The Notre Dame University study found that 58% of eye products tested had high fluorine levels indicating probable PFAS presence. Maybelline was specifically named among the brands included in that study pool. The EWG found that Maybelline uses PFAS compounds, including perfluorooctyl trithoxysilane, across their cosmetics range, confirmed on their own product ingredient submissions. The Eye Studio palettes also contain talc, the same mineral that has been confirmed by the FDA to carry asbestos contamination risk when not tested with sufficiently rigorous standardized methods. And as of November 2025, those standardized methods are still not mandatory. No federal rule requires Maybelline to test the talc in this palette before it reaches the drugstore shelf. Looks like an affordable essential. Reads like a PFAS and talc concern in one compact. Maybelline is an L'Oreal brand. Urban Decay is also an L'Oreal brand. That is 2 entries on this avoid list from the same parent company, across 2 completely different price points and brand identities. Different packaging, different marketing, different audiences, the same corporate ingredient decisions behind both of them. For the woman who reached for this every morning because it was reliable, affordable, and always there, this is what you actually bought. PFAS in the study pool, talc in the formula, from the same parent company whose premium palette is already on this list. Subscribe right now, because the next brand on this list put the word natural in the product name, and then put talc in the formula underneath it. Avoid Brand 5 Too Faced Natural Eyes Palette. It is the palette that made women feel like they were making the responsible choice. Soft browns, neutral mattes, a name that sounds like a philosophy. Natural eyes? It implies that what is inside is as close to nature as what it creates on your face. Too Faced built its brand on a specific kind of charm. Playful packaging, chocolate-scented products. A brand voice that felt warm, fun, and a little indulgent without taking itself too seriously. Women trusted Too Faced because it felt genuinely different from the cold, clinical aesthetic of other prestige brands. And the Natural Eyes palette in particular carried a promise in its name that felt meaningful to women who were starting to pay attention to ingredients. That name did a lot of work. The formula told a different story. The Natural Eyes palette contains talc as a primary ingredient. Talc is a naturally occurring mineral, so is asbestos. The two are geologically inseparable, commonly mined from the same rock deposits, which is precisely why the FDA spent years trying to mandate standardized asbestos testing for talc-containing cosmetics before that proposed rule was withdrawn in November 2025. The FDA confirmed in 2019 that 9 out of 52 talc-containing cosmetic products it tested were positive for asbestos. No mandatory testing standard currently exists to prevent that from happening in products still on shelves today. Too Faced was included in the Mommivation investigation of cosmetic products for fluorine markers. The Notre Dame University study found that 58% of eye products tested had probable PFAS markers. Too Faced was part of that study pool. Looks like a natural choice. Reads like talc, PFAS study pool inclusion, and no mandatory safety standard protecting you. Too Faced is owned by Estee Lauder, the same parent company as Clinique and MAC, both of which appeared on the Liquid Foundation Avoid list in this series. 3 Estee Lauder brands across 2 consecutive Avoid lists. The name on the front changes. The parent company making the formulation decisions does not. For the woman who chose the Natural Eyes palette specifically because the name felt like a cleaner, more considered option than the other palettes next to it on the shelf, this is what you actually bought. Talc with no mandatory asbestos testing requirement from a parent company with 3 consecutive Avoid list entries across its portfolio. Natural name, talc formula. Estee Lauder's 3rd entry on these Avoid lists. That is the Too Faced deal. The next brand built its reputation on influencer credibility and a global beauty community, and it has never submitted that reputation to independent ingredient verification. Avoid Brand 6, Huda Beauty Obsessions, Eyeshadow Palette. It is the palette you discovered through a tutorial. 9 coordinated shades, each one named, each one placed in the pan in the exact order a professional would apply them. The Huda Beauty Obsessions palette does not just sell shades, it sells the complete look and the confidence that you can recreate it. Huda Beauty was built on a story that felt genuinely inspiring. Huda Katan, a makeup artist who built her audience from zero, became one of the most followed beauty accounts in the world before turning that platform into a brand. The brand did not launch from a corporate boardroom. It launched from an audience that trusted the founder personally. Women bought Huda Beauty because they trusted Huda, and that personal trust transferred directly to the formulas she put her name on. That personal trust was never backed by independent ingredient verification. Huda Beauty was included in the Mommivation investigation of cosmetics for fluorine markers. The brand was also part of the broader Notre Dame University study pool, which found 58% of eye products tested had probable PFAS markers. The Obsessions palette contains talc and synthetic fragrance. Synthetic fragrance on an eye product applied millimeters from the tear duct is the same undisclosed chemistry loophole that appears across the worst entries on every avoid list in this series. On a product blended with a brush near the eye, fragrance compounds become airborne. On skin with the absorption capacity of the eyelid, whatever is hiding behind the word fragrance goes somewhere. No independent third-party certification has ever verified the PFAS status, the talc sourcing standards, or the fragrance formulation of Huda Beauty products. Looks like an influencer-certified guarantee. Reads like an unverified ingredient deck with talc and undisclosed fragrance near your eyes. Huda Katan's personal credibility is real. Her audience trust is real. The product's independent safety verification is not. Personal trust is not the same as third-party testing. A founder's integrity does not automatically mean the formula was audited. For the woman who bought this because she trusted Huda personally and assumed that trust extended to every ingredient decision in the palette, this is what you actually bought. An unverified formula with talc, synthetic fragrance, and PFAS study pool inclusion, sold on the strength of a personal brand rather than independent safety confirmation. Influencer certified. Ingredient unverified. That is the Huda Beauty deal. The last brand on this list has been in your makeup bag since before you knew what PFAS were. And it carries 3 separate ingredient concerns in a single compact. Avoid brand 7. L'Oreal Color Riche Eyeshadow. It has been in makeup bags for decades. The slim compact, the coordinated quad, the shade names that made every color feel like it had been chosen by someone who understood exactly what a woman wanted from her eyes. L'Oreal Color Riche is the eyeshadow that was just always there, in the drugstore, in the travel bag, passed down from mothers to daughters because it was reliable, affordable, and had never given anyone a reason to look more closely. That is the reason to look more closely. The campaign for Safe Cosmetics flagged L'Oreal products for containing titanium dioxide in powder form. In inhalable powder cosmetics, titanium dioxide at the nanoparticle scale has been classified as a possible carcinogen by the International Agency for Research on Cancer, specifically when inhaled. An eyeshadow applied with a brush near the eye creates inhalable particles every single time you use it. The formula also contains talc, the ingredient the FDA confirmed can carry asbestos contamination in the absence of mandatory standardized testing. A testing rule was proposed, then withdrawn in November 2025. And then there is fragrance. Undisclosed synthetic chemistry on an eye product. 3 separate concern categories in one compact. Looks like a dependable classic. Reads like 3 ingredient concerns stacked in one quad. L'Oreal Color Riche is the 3rd L'Oreal brand on this avoid list. Urban Decay, Maybelline. Now this. 3 entries across 3 price points and 3 entirely different brand identities. The conglomerate behind all of them is identical. For the woman who has been using this since she was a teenager because it was always there and it always worked and nobody ever gave her a reason to stop, this is what you actually bought. 3 documented ingredient concerns from a parent company that has appeared more times on this avoid list than any other. Go check your makeup bag right now. You just sat through 7 eyeshadow brands, 7 different names, 7 different price points, 7 different brand personalities, the indie icon, the prestige palette, the children's store, the drugstore staple, the natural name, the influencer brand, the classic quad. Here is the playbook that ran underneath all of them. A founder builds something real. A conglomerate acquires it or copies the model. The marketing claims stay exactly as they were. The ingredient accountability walks out with whoever built it in the first place. The consumer keeps buying because the name and the story have not changed, even though the formula decisions are now made by a committee in a corporate headquarters answering to shareholders, not to the women applying the product millimeters from their eyes. That is not 7 separate stories. That is one story told 7 times. Safe pick 1, Ilia Eye, Stylus Eyeshadow Stick. Where others sell the palette as the hero, this sells the formula as the hero. Ilia was founded by Sasha Plavsic in 2011 after she read the ingredient list on a lipstick she had been using for years and decided she could not justify what she was putting on her face anymore. Everything that followed was built around one commitment. No ingredient makes it into an Ilia product unless it has earned its place, and no marketing claim goes on the packaging unless the formula supports it. No talc, no PFAS, no parabens, no mineral oil, no petroleum, no synthetic fragrance. Leaping Bunny, certified cruelty-free, free from over 2,000 ingredients banned by the EU. Ilia's mascara was independently tested by Mamavation with non-detect fluorine results. That is not a brand claim. That is an independent laboratory result. The eye stylus delivers buildable, blendable pigment in a stick format that requires no brush, no fallout risk, and no inhalable powder. The application format itself removes the primary inhalation concern that applies to every pressed powder palette on the avoid list above. Carve out. Ilia's eye range is limited in terms of shade variety compared to a 12 or 14 pan palette. If you need a full smoky eye with 6 or more coordinated shades in one purchase, the eye stylus is not that product. It is a precision tool, not a complete palette system. $40 for the eye stylus trio. Available at Sephora, Ilia's own website, and Credo Beauty. The brand that taught you what clean eye makeup actually looks like built the formula on receipts. The next safe pick was founded by a woman whose body became the receipt. Safe Pick 2, RMS Beauty Redimension. Hydra Eyes Quartet. Where others sell pigment and performance, this sells the lesson that came from paying the price for not having either standard. Rosemarie Swift spent decades as a professional makeup artist working with the biggest names in fashion and editorial photography. After years of daily professional cosmetic use, she became seriously ill and discovered that her body contained extremely high levels of heavy metals and synthetic chemicals traced back to the makeup she had been working with her entire career. She did not write a blog post about it. She built a brand. RMS Beauty launched in 2009 with a founding principle that has never changed. No ingredient enters a formula unless it has been proven safe. The brand is free from over 2,700 banned ingredients. No parabens, no gluten, no synthetic fragrances, no GMOs, no sulfates, no phthalates, no talc. Complete ingredient transparency across every product. Eco-friendly packaging from post-consumer recycled content. The Redimension Hydra Eyes Quartet uses a cream-to-powder formula that sits differently on the eyelid than a traditional pressed powder. Hydrating rather than drying. No inhalable fallout during application. The absence of talc is not just a safety decision here. It is a formulation philosophy. Carve out. RMS Beauty is priced at the higher end of the clean beauty range. The Hydra Eyes Quartet retails at around $38 for 4 shades. If budget is the primary consideration, the third safe pick on this list delivers verified clean formulation at a significantly more accessible price point. Available at Sephora, Credo Beauty, and RMS Beauty's own website. The founder who got sick from the industry built the alternative. The next safe pick made that alternative available at Target. Safe Pick 3, W3 People. Expressionist Eye Collection. Where others sell clean as a premium, this sells clean as the baseline. W3 People was co-founded by a board-certified dermatologist, a professional makeup artist, and a clean beauty advocate who collectively decided that EWG verification should be the floor, not the achievement. The brand is EWG verified across its entire product line, not selected products, not hero SKUs, the entire line. That is independent verification by the most credible cosmetic safety database in the United States, confirming that every ingredient in every product meets strict standards for transparency and health. No PFAS detected in independent Mamavation testing. No talc, no synthetic fragrance, no parabens, vegan and cruelty-free. The Expressionist Eye Collection delivers buildable pigment in a formula that independent clean beauty reviewers consistently rate as the most accessible clean eyeshadow alternative for women, transitioning away from conventional brands. Carve out. W3 People's shade range in the eye category is smaller than a conventional 12 or 14 shade palette. It performs best for everyday natural looks. If you need deep, highly pigmented darks for dramatic editorial work, you may need to supplement with another clean brand. Available at Target, under $30. EWG verified across the board, under $30. At Target, clean does not have to be expensive. It just has to be verified by someone other than the brand selling it. You just sat through 7 eyeshadow brands. PFAS confirmed on a brand's own label, while the parent company publicly claimed phase out. Asbestos confirmed by the FDA in a product marketed to children, with no mandatory testing requirement in place today after the federal rule was withdrawn in 2025. 3 L'Oreal brands across 3 price points running the same ingredient playbook with 3 different names on the front. A natural name over a talc formula. An influencer guarantee with no third-party verification behind it. It is not a mistake, it is the model. Tomorrow morning, open your makeup bag, pick up your eyeshadow palette. Turn it over and read the ingredient list. Look for polytetrafluoroethylene. Look for talc. Look for fragrance on a product you apply near your eyes. If any of those are present, you now know what to do with that information. Tell me in the comments which eyeshadow brand you have been using the longest, and whether you are going to check the label after watching this. If someone you know is still applying a PFAS eyeshadow millimeters from their tear ducts every morning without knowing what is in it, send this to them. The system is not broken. It is working exactly the way it was built to work. You were never supposed to read the ingredient list on an eyeshadow palette. Stay sharp. Read those labels. Keep rising.